What's up everyone, I'm Twisted. This week we saw the release of a brand new motion comic called Winged Protector, we also got an update to the bios of Jarvan and Shyvana, and a couple days ago there was a leak about Season 2, so let's talk about all of this. Let's quickly go over the changes to Jarvan's bio. Most of it remains the same, but now instead of becoming an honorary general, he gains the command of the Silverwing Knights. His bio no longer mentions his many victories, and it also does not mention the battle at the Gates of Morning, so this is no longer his motivation to seek out the Noxians. His army being defeated before reaching Travail and the survivors fleeing to the forests also doesn't happen, as well as Jarvan being struck by an arrow. Now he simply establishes an outpost in the Argent Mountains to disrupt Noxian supplies, before his Silverwing is shot down, as we'll see in the new comic. The rest of his bio remains the same, but the events of the Lux comic / Mage Rebellion were removed. This might simply be because the events have not happened yet in the new timeline, but it's also possible that these events might change in the future. So yeah, the Lux comic might or not become non-canon. We'll have to wait and see. Moving on to the brand new motion comic, Winged Protector. The comic starts by mentioning that this is happening at the same time as Shin's funeral. A lot of people were disappointed that Jarvan wasn't present, myself included. I had hopes that we would see him grieving his uncle in this comic, but sadly that wasn't the case. This comic is mostly just a retelling of some of the events from Jarvan's updated bio. We start with basically the ending of the battle, with Jarvan's Silverwing companion being struck and crashing down. As I said, this is a retcon, as before it was Jarvan himself who got shot. We then jump back to earlier that morning. We learn that the Silverwing is named Aegis, perhaps a reference to Jarvan's W in-game. A young soldier tells Jarvan that there's a small Noxian band nearby. It's the soldier's first flight, so Jarvan reassures her that everything will be fine. This sets us up for the next page, where the Demacians rush to fight the Noxians, only to fall for an ambush. Like I said, the update to Jarvan's bio removed these many victories following his new rank, and I believe the intention was to reinforce his inexperience. Again we see the Noxians striking him down, and sadly his companion dies in this battle. I believe this part here with the feather is meant to parallel the feather that Yunara picks up in Demacia and brings back to Ionia. Jarvan calls himself a careless fool, feeling guilty for leading his men to their deaths. Again, this new Jarvan is more inexperienced, which I think makes more sense than what we had in his old lore, since he is at the start of his military career. He collapses and for a couple moments sees Kayle, the Winged Protector, hence the name of the comic. Kayle is depicted with her design from the Still Here cinematic and Demacia Rising. We might be seeing these as a skin in the game very soon. But this isn't Kayle, Jarvan is just hallucinating, as this is actually Shyvana, and she saves him from the Noxians. So the name of the comic could also be referencing Shyvana. And that's pretty much it for the new comic. Again, this is just an adaptation of lore we already had. Moving on to Shyvana's bio, most of her lore remains the same, but there was one major change. But first, her adoptive father still steals an egg from Eva, but he no longer takes it to Piltover to sell it. That part was removed. Maybe because of Arcane, or maybe to make her father seem more sympathetic, I'm not sure. In her old bio, Eva and Shyvana had some kind of connection, and when Shyvana grew older, her mother went searching for her. This is what led to the death of her father, and this was also the reason Eva eventually came to Renwall. But this has been removed from her bio. Now, as Shyvana grew older, she eventually stumbled into her mother's territory. Her mother, however, did not care that Shyvana was her daughter, and started chasing her. Like before, Shyvana fled to her home, and Eva ended up killing her father. Following this, she spends months hiding in the wilds. Before it was only weeks. She eventually finds her mother attacking a settlement, basically the events of the season cinematic. Here she meets Quinn for the first time, something that didn't happen in her old bio. Later in the story she finds a wounded Jarvan. This part is mostly unchanged besides the addition that Jarvan gives her his family crest. We saw this in her new cinematic. Eva still attacks Renwall, but before Shyvana simply planned to leave, now she planned to leave to lure her mother away. The rest of the story remains the same, she fights and kills her mother. The biggest change is that Eva is no longer after Shyvana in specific, which makes all the moments of her with her mother seem a bit too random, as if she just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Now let's finally talk about the small leak about the theme of Season 2. If you don't want to get spoiled, please don't watch the rest of this video. I've already made a video about my predictions for Season 2, I recommend you watch it, but I'll give you a quick TLDR here. I believe the next season is going to further explore the rise of magic in Runeterra. We've seen this happening across multiple regions now, the latest being Demacia, and I believe the upcoming champion is investigating this rise of magic and this could lead to another region being affected, with this region being the setting for Season 2. Assuming, of course, that we are not diving deeper into how this is affecting Demacia, which is also possible, especially with the new information we got. A couple days ago, we got a small leak confirming that League is getting skins inspired by the demons of Runeterra. Now, this doesn't really confirm that these skins will be tied to the theme of Season 2, but since every season so far has had skins related to its themes, for example the Demacian skins we got this season, I don't think it's far-fetched to believe Season 2 will be tied to demons in some way. However, this isn't really enough to give us an idea of what to expect yet. This season didn't really do much in terms of lore. We got a small progression with Yunara coming to Demacia and Shin's funeral, but that was about it. Despite us getting so many new lore experiences from cinematics to comics, this has been kind of a filler season. So my expectations for Season 2 in terms of lore are quite low for now. I don't believe that the rise of magic is going to be because of demons, nor do I think that some of the corrupted stuff we've seen this season was because of demons, but I do believe there will be a connection. I think this rise of magic will affect demons in some way. Maybe this imbalance will cause more of them to appear, or maybe make them even more aggressive, the same way the Wild Bloom in Ionia brought back the Twilight Temple, but with it many demons as well, that Shin and Yunara had to fight. Maybe the upcoming champion isn't seeking information about the rise of magic in specific, maybe he's just trying to figure out what's causing demons to appear more often or something. We know this season is going to be tied to the first one, but not in a major way, so besides the connection to the rise of magic, we should perhaps also go back to Sona's moments in the season cinematic. These scenes from the cinematic were the only ones that didn't get mentioned or further explored in another piece of lore. We still don't know what was really happening here, so I think it's very likely that this story will continue next season, especially if this is indeed tied to Nocturne like we are all assuming. It's possible that we'll see a retelling of the story for Demacia, with Lux banishing Nocturne, or perhaps we'll see the new champion face the demon. Either way, this story being left open, being potentially tied to demons, who will be relevant next season, does seem to indicate that we might be staying in Demacia. But again, it's too early to know for sure, especially when the post mentions demons of Runeterra, though this could also just be an indication that these skins are based on canon, as in the canon world of Runeterra. Speaking of which, I do believe these skins won't be canon, since that's what happened this season. We got skins based on the lore, but the skins themselves were not canon, and I believe these were mostly well received. I'm more so curious about the ones that will be canon. In this season we got canon skins for Morgana and Sona, but neither of them were related to the other Demacian skins, so I don't necessarily expect the canon skins of Season 2 to be related to demons, assuming we are getting more canon skins, of course. And that was it for all the lore news this week. We're getting closer to Season 2, so there will be more stuff for me to talk about very soon. So if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. It's free and you can always change your mind later. I'm Twisted and I'll see you guys in the next video.